From the very beginning, man has been awed by this red fluid called blood, believing in its life-giving force. Throughout history, blood has been thought to have great magical powers, and humans have painted their bodies with it. They even bathed their kings in it. Some thought that drinking the blood of a wild beast would make them strong and courageous. Ancient medicine men made their patients drink magical potions of blood and herbs while they danced and chanted songs. Later, when this didn't work so well, those same medicine men decided that sick people had demons in their blood, which had to be removed. They started using blood-sucking leeches to remove both blood and demons. Soon their patients began calling their doctors leeches, and their treatments were known as leechdoms. The common headache was cured by pouring the blood of a wild rooster over a patient's head. Another elaborate leechdom involved filling an egg with the blood from a healthy person. The egg was then returned to the nest of a brooding hen. The doctor would then remove the egg from the nest and hold it over the patient, hoping the illness would then enter the egg. Bloodletting also became quite popular. Doctors would cut a vein and drain off a pint or two of blood, hoping to rid the patient of their illness. Those who survived bloodletting often found themselves weaker and more susceptible to other diseases. In fact, some believe George Washington was bled so often that he finally died from the bleedings. But this apparently didn't discourage many people. Bloodletting became so popular that the barbers became professional bloodletters. In fact, the practice of hanging blood-stained bandages outside the barber shop was the origin of the red and white striped barber poles. Early doctors began to realize that bloodletting didn't work, so attention turned to blood transfusions. Early attempts at transfusions involved giving blood by mouth. But then in 1600, William Harvey discovered that blood circulates within your body through your arteries and veins. This practice led to transfusions directly into the bloodstream, using primitive equipment like animal bladders, quills of porcupines, and hollow silver tubes. But no one was really very successful until an English doctor named Richard Lower in 1665 successfully transfused blood from one dog to another by connecting their arteries and veins. Lower attempted similar transfusions on humans using sheep blood. That operation failed miserably, and doctors even tried transfusing milk into patients' bloodstreams. They thought the milk might be converted to white blood cells to help fight infection, but this was another major setback. As you might expect, these experiments gave transfusion a bad name, and in 1678, the Paris Society of Physicians declared transfusions illegal. Soon afterward, the English passed a similar law. So it wasn't until almost 200 years later, in 1818, that an English physician named James Blundell understood the problem and correctly realized that only human blood could be given to humans. But Blundell's early attempts at transfusions were still very primitive. He began by opening the blood donor's artery and catching the spurting blood in a cup, which then was poured into a funnel connected to the patient's veins. As you can imagine, this didn't work so well. One major problem was that the blood clotted when it was exposed to air. Doctors then devised a method of attaching a tube directly from an artery to a vein so that blood could flow from one person to another. But this wasn't an easy procedure either. The patient and donor had to lay side by side while the patient's vein was attached to the donor's artery with a little metal cannula. With this method, there was no way to measure how much blood was being transfused. This problem was solved when a coated Y-shaped tube and syringes were developed so that measured amounts of blood could be drawn from one donor and pumped into a patient. Direct transfusions were often performed using various devices to speed up the flow of blood. While some patients fared very well from these transfusions, others became very sick. In 1901, physician Karl Landsteiner discovered that humans have a special blood type, either A, B, O, or AB. This was a medical breakthrough, allowing patients to receive blood matched to their type. The problem of blood clotting was also solved. And in 1914, the common chemical sodium citrate was found to keep blood from clotting for several days. In modern times, with the development of plastics, blood bottles, which required sterilization, were replaced by disposable plastic bags. Research, discoveries, and modern techniques have made blood donation and transfusions a complex but life-saving science. Today, People donate in blood centers, which house processing, testing, and typing laboratories and maximize each blood donation. 1 pint of blood is separated into components: red blood cells, platelets, and plasma. Blood centers perform stem cell extractions for all kinds of treatments. It takes only a short time to donate blood, and the amount of blood taken represents only a small portion circulating through your system. Every donation has the power to save human lives. Now there is no need for human sacrifice or ritualistic dances. The magic of saving lives circulates in all of our veins. The power to heal is only 1 donation and 1 transfusion away.